Ahora empezará, ¿eh? Vale. Okay, so welcome everybody to this new session of the CIMNE Coffee Talks. Today we have with us Laurence Sigler, and he's a PhD student in civil engineering. He's holding also a master degree in geographic information systems from the Autonomous University of Barcelona, the UAB, and a bachelor's degree from Albright College in the United States. His prior experience includes working in various private sector areas as a GIS analyst, database administrator, and a software developer in the field. He has also worked for NGOs doing environmental and agricultural development in Honduras and in Panama. And currently, his present research is in developing data interchange, marketplace, and GIS services for the Piksel project at CIMNE and UPC. So thank you very much for participating, Laurence. The floor is yours.
Okay, thank you, Alejandro. And today, as Alejandro said, I'm presently working toward a PhD at UPC and CIMNE towards the Piksel product and project, and we'll assume that everybody has a basic familiarity with this project. So today, we're going to start with an introduction, some of the background and concepts behind on-place marketplaces, online marketplaces in general, and what I've been looking into to gather this information, and then where we are with the prototype and software development and where we're going to go in the future, and as the conclusion with some questions also. So first, let me introduce the development team behind the marketplace. Besides myself, we have Dr. Per-Andre Ubach and Dr. Javier Mora, who are the co-coordinators for the Piksel project on the CIMNE side. Claudio, they are also the PhD advisors for my doctorate. Claudio Zingerling is the chief GIS researcher for CIMNE. Alexis Sid is CIMNE's graphic designer. Angel Priege is also their IT investigator for CIMNE. And Eugenio Oñate is the director of CIMNE Center and the PI of the whole project. And on the side of the Generalitat, which is also moving the development of this project, we have the coordination team of Xavier Borlies, Edward Velko, and Julia Rupert. So when we talk about marketplaces, I'm sure we're all familiar with them in everyday life and that they've exploded in the past 30 years. But there's a lot of things that are more apparent with them than at the first light. And there's a definite breakdown in how they're specialized. And for example, in this slide, we see that there's different differences between a demographic orientation and what they're selling. So on the left-hand side, we see that there are consumer-to-consumer marketplaces, and that we commonly refer to as sharing marketplaces. And this is like Airbnb or Wallapop or Etsy, where one private citizen is going to another private citizen, to sell their bicycle or to have their dog taken care of. And then the business-to-consumer, which is how the marketplace online wave got started, which is some of the more familiar names like Amazon, and that or Corte Inglés here in Spain, and that a business is providing a product. And then business-to-business marketplaces perform more something of wholesaling or support services. So an example would be that the facility management services that UPC contracts to the company that provides it. That would be a prime example. But then the marketplaces and what they provide also differ in that there are marketplaces that provide pure information or digital information, such as Twitch or SoundCloud or YouTube or Spotify, and marketplaces that provide things or physical goods, such as Amazon and Etsy. But as you can see from this list, there's a definite blurring between these two concepts in the last few years, because if you look at Google Play or Apple Store, are they providing just information, or are they providing an actual thing? So it's quite a difference. And then there are companies that provide pure services, which are the most popular one would be Uber or Airbnb. Or again, we can go back to Dog Vacay, which is that, the service that they're providing is that they take care of your dog while you're away. And so in the Piksel Marketplace, down at the bottom, is quite multidimensional in that it covers all aspects of that, and that a consumer could be looking for geographic GIS modeling services, and the businesses also could be providing this through the marketplace to the consumers or investigators, or two businesses could interact via the marketplace to share their GIS services. And are GIS services information or goods, or are they services? They could be all things. So let's move along to the state of the GIS market in general. Is that there's no shortage of GIS services and providers in the world. And this screen is big and confusing because there are so many things that you can find if you go searching on the internet. You might recognize some of them. The most popular one and the most similar in orientation to Piksel is ArcGIS Marketplace and ArcGIS Online. But there are certainly other examples here, such as right here. This is Open Data Cube, which is Digital Earth Africa, which is providing services to ECOWAS and this other community of countries in Africa. This is Terra Story, which is a French initiative running various areas in France. This is Digital Earth Australia, and this is Open Data Cube for Switzerland. This is Google Earth Engine. This is these are some local ones. This is Hides, which is a local company here in Barcelona. So it leads into the next question of why are we developing this if there are so many of these services, in that the market would be crowded. And so the difference is that the Piksel system is based on numerical method simulation, which is a relatively unexploited area of the GIS ecosystem. And this slide shows something called collaborative economy honeycomb, which is an organizing method to visualize major players occupying space in the online ecosystem. It's not specifically related to scientific specialties, but it gives a good idea of how a Piksel system is moving to occupy an underexploited area of the GIS world. And so these honeycomb models here are like various aspects of online. So like one could be for online rooms or selling realty, but I made one for GIS here, and you can see in that in the GIS system, there are the two huge players, which are ArcGIS Online and Google Earth, but are primarily based on data analysis and Earth observation, which, while Piksel can do that, is also moving into numerical and model-based simulation GIS. And so the two symbols here below, these signify a concept of red ocean, blue ocean, in that if you're going to develop a product, you're not going to develop it in a place where people are fishing and there's nothing to gain. You're going to move into unexploited territory, which is what we're doing. And so once that we have a GIS system, that's fine. But as a Piksel stands right now, we have a prototype for the GIS++ system, and there are 7 pilot models which are being developed in CIMNE. And so this is good, but each model is labor intensive, and there are actually more than 50 people, I guess, working on just these 7 models and functionalities. So unless we want all of these people in CIMNE, once they finish with these 7 models, making 7 more, we're going to have to open up the system to outside participation to increase the content. And that's what the marketplace is for. And so that external models, which we can see here, the 7 models that are being developed will be supplemented by external models previously developed by outside companies and institutions and incorporated into the system via the marketplace. I'm sure everybody's who's seen the coffee talks before have seen this diagram, but it represents the 3 aspects of the system, which is the agora, which will include social aspects of it, such as chats and Cypedia and forums and articles, the marketplace, and the actual GIS++ system. And so the assumptions that we go into creating the marketplace is that the developers of external content will provide us the technical details to access the resources of their software and functionalities through the marketplace, which will provide access to Piksel. And the marketplace provides the connection, while, as I said before, the external provider will provide the data instructions via OGC protocols for access. And this is analogous to Amazon or Zillow or Idealista for people not familiar with Zillow on one hand or Idealista on the other hand. These are realty platforms. And the external provider indicates an asset, such as a thing that they sell on Amazon, or a property to the marketplace, and the marketplace provides some mechanisms to describe the asset, to list it, sell it, and to provide access to it. The analogy ends there because in the Piksel Marketplace, we're providing access to and selling things that are a bit more complex than like selling a house or a mobile phone. We have to take into account protocols, formats, programming languages, and other options, how to map it to the GIS system. But in the system of Amazon, Amazon has 3 or 4 different marketplace systems, and they have one for publishing books, which is a level of abstraction mass more than their system for selling cell phones or whatever you can buy on Amazon. And then with Amazon Web Services, where you have to get computer power and servers and hosting, is even more complex in the type of configurations that you could have. And the benefits for someone with a company that has GIS services of entering into a Piksel would be that it's the gateway for their content to be promoted, exchanged, and used in the Piksel system. It will be more publicity and promotion of content beyond a hopeful search engine hit, because if I go into Google and I start looking for GIS services, I might find your company or I might not. It depends. We'll have management of content via an interface and the metrics of use and sales. You can collaborate with CIMNE and UPC to bring the content in and be one of the first providers to do so. We can work with you to develop your solutions. And there's availability of computing architecture, eventually HPC, and knowledge interchange via the Agora, which will be working with articles and a system called Cypedia. And then via this, there will be an interchange of data and knowledge with academic and industry experts. So in starting the research, I've been here since July of last year, and starting to investigate the marketplace systems and related to GIS systems online. I started searching on Scholar and so on and so forth, and the searches just kept on getting bigger and bigger and bigger, because it really turned into an interdisciplinary project, because so here are some of the articles, and this is just a small mini sample of the kind of things that I've had to look into. This is just marketplaces online, GIS technologies, grid computing, general business models, and how marketplaces work, which I explained in the first couple of slides, metadata, data protocols, IT architecture, Python, PHP, and the list goes on. So, and it's not over yet. And so one of the fundamental things that we needed to incorporate into the marketplaces was various business models of how the marketplace returns profits. Because we live in a world that is based on the interchange of money. So the marketplaces online have a general way of there are certain general ways in which they make a little money. And so there are 6 primary models of how they do this, which would apply to us in Piksel. And I'll go through and list them here quickly. But the commission model is that the marketplace platform takes a percentage of any asset sold, similar to Amazon or eBay. In the listing system, marketplace will charge you just to include your asset on the marketplace. ArcGIS does this, or Craigslist does this. I believe Wallapop would do this. I haven't listed anything on there, so I don't know, but it seems a likely candidate for that. The subscription is recently become the most popular method for marketplaces to earn profits, and that is you're charged to use the platform for a certain time period. Almost all online games function like this. LinkedIn functions like this if you buy their premium version. Netflix and Spotify, which I'm sure most people have, they do this for a certain period, like a year. You get or a month, I think it is, and you can use it unlimited for a month. The freemium version is that the platform provides access, but only to a certain level of functionality. And that also, if we turn to a gaming model, certain games will have certain features turned off unless you start to pay. And LinkedIn will actually do this because I have the free version of LinkedIn. And if I do a certain number of searches in a month, it'll cut me off. The lead functionality is that if I would like you, like if I put an advertisement up on the marketplace and I would like you to develop me a numerical method model to do X. Or if I would like you to come and put a fence in at my house or something similar to that. And it would be bidded on by service providers. And the feature and favorite model is a supplemental aspect of what you can do with a marketplace, in that on eBay or Amazon, if you pay them, you can have your ad come first in a list, or it can be featured on their homepage. So if we look at a Piksel system, the first 4 are really the ones that we would be using to start off, as they're more applicable to what we're trying to do. This is the value chain, which traces the path of what a provider would do until the user executes, and that the provider has all of these. The provider has their data imagery programming, their GIS products they provide into an asset. So they have these certain aspects, like they have some coastal change models or tempo or NDVIs, and we adapt them to go into the system, into Piksel. They're listed in the marketplace catalog where the users can access them. The vendors can access their accounts to see what they're selling. In the marketplace, the users can acquire the products, take delivery of them. The customer purchases them. They can also use their social networks, access the GIS++, and finally execute the models. So now, given that basic background of where we are with marketplaces and what they do, we talk about how we develop the PrePrototype software and where we're going until June. So when I had started here in July, the team had already developed the GIS PrePrototype, and which is already online, which I'll show a little bit later. And the GIS prototype, in order to go in and change it and rework it, we developed the marketplace PrePrototype separately. And so they communicate back and forth via URLs and an API. And the GIS handles, obviously, all things related to GIS, the workspace, data sets, calculations, and the models. And the marketplace has the catalog and the accounts and the profiles and so on. That handles the payments and the homepage, so on. So the project was divided into three basic areas, in which the basic area of the front end, which is the content management software, the storefront software, which I'll show later on at the end, account management metrics and UI and similar functions. The back end is the GIS system, the databases, the geodatabase, and the relational databases. Anything related to APIs, protocols, libraries, programming, and metadata. Anything related to cloud computing or file uploads or file transfers. And then the business aspect, which would be actual for security requirements, legal requirements, the type of roles and access, things related to community or partnerships, business models, and so on. Within the system, we have various functions that at this point, which the user can perform, and they're subdivided into three levels of access, in that the users can do the actions here on the left, which is they can register, they can see the catalog, they can search for content, they can issue ratings, they have to sign the user agreement, they can buy things, and they can execute the GIS. The engage asset means they can execute it into the GIS. And we haven't worked out the help desk system yet, which is planned in the future. And then a provider will be able to do everything that a user can, but they can register as a provider. They can create an asset. They can specify their own user agreements. They can take their asset up and down for it to be evaluated. They can view their metrics. And then an administrator of the system, which will be somebody here or whoever administers the system, can do everything over here, but they would be able to basically administer everything in the system, take pages up and down, remove accounts, so I kill infinite loops and that type of thing. In order that the system will be opened up to a wide variety of heterogeneous content. There are various case use examples of what various models that would be included in the system, and that already are, would require. And so the system has to be able to accommodate various needs according to the software that it has to execute. And so, for example, batch functionality. Batch functionality would be related to something like if we have weather information that would need to be refreshed every night, or ocean states, which will be included in the initial prototype. Authentication Depending on the hosting of the system and the legal requirements, external data sources and tools need to be pre-authorized. So, deferred access. These are models that need to be executed by Piksel staff to prevent potential errors, because if somebody were to start an infinite loop or pull a Cartesian product in the database, it could potentially cripple the system. And certain models have this capability, so they need to be executed. So what would happen is that the user would fill out a web form. It would be sent to the staff. The staff would execute the model and return to the user the results by a push to their phone or an email notification. We'll incorporate HPC utilities. We have an HPC server here ready, but in the future, this could be extended to use external platforms, EGI or AWS or similar. And some plugins might require, some assets might require plugins, in that the plugin would be for sale in the catalog of the marketplace. You would execute something on your own system, your own PC, and this would be, you'll be able to upload it to the online GIS. So as of today, this is the system that we have installed. In that, this is the GIS system that was existing when I arrived, and has been we've been working on since I've arrived. And this is the marketplace development server, which is installed separately. And so this is a Linux server we have here at CIMNE, and with the various Docker, everything runs on Docker. If for those who don't know, Docker is a virtualization system, and the images are static programming, which can be launched into working containers, and each container runs separately within the server. And so the storefront, which I'll show later, is running in one Docker container, and they connect via port 3306. And then the marketplace database, which is a MySQL database, is running in another container on the system. And then they write to static files on the disk, because we want the information to be constant and not saved if we restart these. And the interaction is via URLs between the two via an API. And so our short-term plans until summer of 2002 were this slide I made back in December. So in December, the idea was that the marketplace would be able to, you would be able to purchase an app and open the GIS, which it does. And the second phase, in that it would open the specific asset that you purchased, which is also done. So we would plan that for April, but it's already done. And then in June, the marketplace will be able to open the app in the GIS, but then the GIS will verify via PHP function if the user has purchased the asset. The PHP function will check the database of the marketplace, and then the GIS can display which products the user has in the GIS, because in the GIS now everything is displayed and open, but eventually it'll be restricted based on what the user has purchased or acquired. I'll demonstrate it a little later if it doesn't make sense now. And then also by June or July, we'd like to have an external provider incorporate their content into the marketplace also, as a test of a proof of concept. And so this is a list of certain tasks that we have done. The pre-prototype concept was done. The Docker was installed on a new server and the storefront also. The model was adjusted to the look and feel of what our designer Alexis sent to us. I'm also working on a coastal evolution functionality, which is a work in progress. We're working on APIs and parameters for the marketplace and GIS connection. Development of a separate database for marketplace has been pushed back until after summer because we're not sure if it's going to be integrated or not with the GIS database. We'll need to have separate server environments for development, QA, and production so that we're not working and making changes in a system that could be used by the public. The external content providers, that's something we're actively working on right now. And I'm almost halfway done, three-quarters done with writing an article based on the project so far. And I'll be presenting at two conferences, one at CIMNE in Girona on the 8th of June, and one at the International Geographers Union Paris in July, and in late July. And so by the end of June, we'd like the system to look like this, in that the main difference here is that, here it is, in that we've incorporated the provider functionality, and the providers will be able to include their assets into the marketplace and manage them. And so we'll have, and possibly the HPC connection is a principal difference from what we have now. And then eventually, and this is just a possibility in 2024 or sooner, is that we would like the system to look like this, in that the external providers will provide us their access information with the WFS, WCS specifications, and the system would be able to access that. The system would have HPC possibility externally, and then the marketplace and the GIS system would not necessarily be separated, and the databases might be separated or not. So this is not a fixed idea. This is just a proposal. And so after June, some of the next steps we have are to define our standards and protocols for WCS and WFS, which is, if you don't know, these are standards of the Open Geographic Consortium, which are the de facto standard of how geographic data is moved. It's a XML, GML markup schema. We'd like to incorporate new content, which we're working on now also, but we'll be working on after June as well. And so I need to develop interfaces for providers to access content and update their configurations. We need to look into standard metadata schemes. There's a scheme called Inspire, which the European Union has, but then there's doubt whether the geographic system should use Inspire. There's a debate whether they should use something called GeoDCAT AP, which is a whole nother presentation that I would have to do at some point, so I won't get into that. The GIS tools we'll use, the existing GIS is focused primarily on .NET. A lot of GIS functions we use Python. Would we use Open Data Cube, which is a GIS system which performs a nice core based on Python, or would we use others? Will we use Recode, a custom solution for the storefront, and the interfaces in PHP or in JavaScript? How we would work out the HPC connections, because we have one server here, but it could be that it's not enough. Where the servers will be located, the designs, the look and feel of the site. If we need new staff and students to join the team, we need to design database schemas. If we connect to existing sources, or do we have the apps connect to them themselves, and we don't handle that, such as Copernicus and so on. And I'm sure there will be more. Just for general information, here's the calendar. This is oriented towards the doctoral studies, in that we are right here, because now it's almost April. And so the prototype should be done in June. We can start working on pre-prototype tasks. And here, so the model, let me see now if I can. Just a second. Okay, so this is the marketplace pre-prototype model, and it's kind of being scrunched up on this screen because this is a plasma screen hanging on the wall of the conference room I'm in. So this logo of the Generalitat should be off to the left, but no. So this front page now is filled with the what we call the retos, or the challenges. But in principle, it could be anything here, like an article about, like floods or earthquakes or something like that. Or this page could be, this page could not exist as the marketplace, could be incorporated into a website of Piksel in general. So ideally, what the user would be looking at first would be the catalog. And these are some of the categories I placed. And within the categories, we would have functionalities that would be available. And so if I go to here, this is the risk of flood functionality developed here at CIMNE. And here we have the description and the technical information about the product. Here the users can leave a review. And so if I wanted to purchase this, first I would have to sign in, but I'm already signed in. But you would sign in, create an account, so on, like on most marketplaces. So if I want this, then I'll go here and would fill in all this information. I'm gonna get it. And so right here is what would happen is there would be a payment gateway. Well, it looks like the payment gateway is broken. But what would happen is that the product would appear into your cart as you would go here. and it would, okay, so this time it worked. And so now we have the product paid for, and we can now access it. And it takes us directly to the GIS. So here we're in the GIS and the flood risk functionality. So here we can see, you know, the for 100-year flood in Torreya, Montpellier, we got, you know, the risk of the river overflowing. So
No, Alejandro, no, I said. Alejandro, I think Laurence has been frozen.
Yeah, I was thinking the same. Yeah. I thought he got silent, but no. Maybe he has some problem with the internet.
Creo que lo que pasó que al cerrar el navegador ha cerrado la pantalla del Meet.
Pero sigue conectado de algún modo. A ver. Lo que le voy a hacer es... Ah, mira, ya está, se desconectó. Vale.
No, pero hablo con el Telegram. Seguro que está haciendo malabares para conectarse.
Igual está hablando y no se da cuenta.
Ah.
Yeah.
how much was cut off?
Since you closed the website of Piksel.
Okay. All right, so that was... So sorry about that. Well, the presentation was over, so at this point, we would the current open it up for questions, and the current questions that we have on the team so far are how can the providers move their content into the marketplace? This is what we're actively working on now. How can existing data sources, such as if there's an open data portal that City of Barcelona has, or the Copernicus or the Generalitat has, how can we integrate that into the marketplaces? And how can we combine the content that's on the marketplace with such as if we were to combine the air quality challenge with the biodiversity challenge to see if there's a correlation, or if we were to look into tracking crime trends based on the environment and health, or agricultural trends or demographics. So I'd like to thank you all for your time. Sorry about turning off the conference and the transmission. And you can ask questions in whichever language you like. So, well, as long as I speak it. So.
Thank you, Laurence. As he said, I mean, if there are any questions, please go ahead, or comments. Jesper, Andreu, please.
Hello, Laurence. as long as you are developing a marketplace for an online GIS system, which is based on models to process the GIS data, does the marketplace, or are we envisioning a way to facilitate the connection of the different models from different providers to integrate with the GIS platform through the marketplace?
Well, yes. I mean, that's the goal, that we have to. The marketplace is the gateway for the external content to appear in the GIS, in that they provide us with the protocol and the access, and we translate that to the GIS. So I'm not sure if that answers your question.
Yes. So I wanted to let it make clear that the goal of the marketplace, and I would like to check that you agree with that, is to facilitate the integration of the different models provided by these different providers to the GIS system. So,
Yes.
so that the models can be operated by the users seamlessly with the GIS system.
Yeah. I mean, this diagram I made this diagram for that. I mean, you don't see the user here, but
Can you display?
is it not?
No. Okay, now.
So as you can see here, the user doesn't appear in this diagram, but the user can access any of these three parts of the system. And so we have these 7 models that we're developing, that we're all familiar with, that are already in the system. But then the yellow company, red company, green company, blue company, would provide us access to their systems through the marketplace, and the GIS would be able to access this content.
Well, not just the content, but these are assets, so that
The assets, content.
These assets can be data, which is more readily integratable with the GIS system, because the GIS system is used to visualize data. But at the same time, those assets can be models that the user has to interact with, and the user will interact with through the GIS system. Yes. So there has to be an integration, and you were talking about the customization in the value chain.
Yes.
All right. So this customization, are you preparing some guidelines for doing this customization for each asset to be integrated into the marketplace and the GIS system?
Yes, we'll have to develop functionality to map the functionality that the asset has to our interface, which has been developed by Claudia. So, and this might all completely change. I mean, because the whole interface that is developed now might not be what we have in 6 months. But yeah, each little functionality of what an asset does will have to be remapped to the look and feel, or the system that we have in the GIS Plus.
Can you show the value chain slide again, please?
Yeah, hold on. on a second.
Yeah.
Okay, there it is.
Can you maximize? Okay, so here in the third step, customization, I understand that the marketplace has to provide tools for the providers of each asset to customize those assets and therefore integrate them into the marketplace.
Yes.
All right.
Principally, initially,
what are your thoughts about those tools that the marketplace has to provide?
Well, initially, that's work I have to do in the future. But initially, it will have to be done on a custom level with the first providers so that we understand what we're working with. Because even if you go to the major, just like the principal product that's similar, which is ArcGIS, they request that you contact them to work with them to develop a custom solution. So while eventually we'd like to provide a more automated facility for a provider to come in and incorporate their functionality for the first steps, this in the near present future, that we'd need to work with them to do that.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if I answered your question.
So I understand that as we stand now, the development of the marketplace has focused further on the downstream functions of the marketplace, that is the acquisition of assets and the interface with the customer, so that the customer can access the assets through the marketplace and in the GIS, and the activation of the access by the user to those assets. And regarding the upstream functions of the marketplace, that is the customization of the asset and integration into the marketplace, so far we have taken advantage that those assets, in the case of the challenges that we are developing within the PiPlates project, are already directly integrated into the GIS. Therefore, there hasn't been a process of integration through the marketplace. It has been directly integrated into the GIS, and you are looking forward to cooperate with the different possible providers of assets so that we can start building the tools of customization.
Yeah, exactly.
All right.
Because the storefront and the user interface, this is significantly less complicated than the integration that the providers will need.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Any more comments or questions? Well, if not, thank you very much, Laurence and Per Andrea, for the question. And honestly, we're going to see each other next week because on Thursday we have another coffee. This is exceptional, but this year we are having a lot of offers for coffee talks. So thank you, Laurence, and see you next week, maybe.
Thanks.
Thank you, everybody, for attending.
Gracias, Alejandro.
Hasta luego.